morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a big day because I'm going to finally get started on the wiring for old Frankenbuggy here. If you guys don't already know, we have a Megasquirt MS3 Mini is what it's called, I believe. And the engine in this is a 2.0 Volkswagen ABA engine right over here. There's not a whole lot of information on doing the MS3s with the ABAs, so I'm gonna have to be doing a lot of this on my own. If there is any information out there, I have not found it. I looked a lot for information, but there's nothing. So this is it's just gonna all be me on this one. I do have some information. I have the whole manual for the MS3. Megasquirt does have this on their website, but it's for the older generations like the Megasquirt 1, 2 and stuff. It's not the MS3, which is what we have. So some of that information might be helpful, especially with the timing stuff on the computer, which, let me see if I can find it. Basically just the trigger offset. Pretty sure that's all I can use with that information. But I do have other like wiring diagrams and stuff. I started writing this out when I had time the other day. Anyways, it's gonna be a good video. At the end of this, hopefully we'll hear this thing run. Might be multiple days in this video, so be prepared for that. But yeah, let's get started. I'm going to start by taking off all the old wiring that was in this car and start laying things out. But yeah, let's get started. Let's get to wiring. It's going to be a long, exciting day for me, but hopefully I can make this video exciting for y'all. So let's get started. Alright, got all that old junk out of there. This stuff has been out in the weather for ages now, as you can tell. Switches probably don't even work. This thing is so oxidized now that it might not work either. But anyways, all that's going to be replaced. Now I'm just going to unravel this and start running wires everywhere. So yeah, let's get started on that right quick. Alright guys, got the wiring back to the engine here. Obviously all this is just going to be temporary. I just zip tied the whole harness together and zip tied it to the rails. But I'm just going to leave it like that until I figure everything out. But now the harness is at the engine, and there is part of the stock harness I'm keeping. It looks like this is basically all I'm keeping out of the stock harness. It is just injectors and the connectors for distributor and the crank sensor right there, and the IAT. We're running the stock intake air temp. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I have a GM one to throw in there. But yeah, I'm gonna plug this harness in and start connecting wires. Alright guys, got the original harness plugged in. It's kind of a pain to get in there. I assume that they take the top off to get underneath there and mess with the injectors, obviously. But forgot to mention we're running the stock throttle body too. Hopefully this thing works. If not, I like to go with an LS one. Just manufacture, not manufacture, but fabricate up a throttle body plate or something, throw on there. But we got the throttle body, the stock intake air temp, which is right there, all 4 injectors. Got the crank sensor plugged in, that's right here, and the stock distributor. Now I just have all this and it needs to be tied into this one, so I'm gonna look over the diagram again right quick, make sure I have everything right, and yeah, start throwing wires together. Alright, so I separated the injector harness from the original harness for the engine. Basically the red and blue one here, the thick one, that goes to power, and then the rest of these, it goes to the ECU. Each one is a separate injector. So I'm going to do that right quick, or I don't know if you guys can tell, but the weather is not playing nice right now, so I might put on pause until this weather clears up. But that's what I'm going to be doing as soon as I can. Just do this, and then I'm going to do the throttle body and the IAT. The throttle body is going to be a fun one to figure out because I don't know if you can tell, but there's a lot of wires going into it. Basically cruise control and just the throttle body position sensor itself. So that's going to be fun. But I'm going to go back inside and wait this weather out. Hopefully it doesn't start raining everywhere. But yeah, I'll be back in a bit. What do you think, Turbo? Huh? Can't do any work if it's raining outside. Oh my goodness. Threw a tarp over the ECU and all the stuff that needs to be protected, but yeah, can't do anything right now. Alright guys, looks like the weather calmed down for a bit so I can get back to the wiring job here. First thing I'm going to do is wire up the injectors. I just pulled all the wires out, A, B, C, D, and then I'm going to wire it up to this. This is the original harness, and yeah, use an old rally bug as a table. So this is the diagram for the ECU. I'm just going to follow this little thing right here, and let's see here. I'm going to pull out the chart I made. This is basically what everything goes to on the original harness. So yeah, I'm going to get to wiring right quick, and then I'll bring you guys back when I'm done with that. Well, got the injectors wired up. Like I said, still have to do the power wire for the injectors, but the ECU side's all done. I'm going to do the intake air temp right quick. It's just 2 wires. One is ground and one is the signal, and that's white and yellow, I don't know if you can tell. And then the brown and blue is the ground for all the sensors. and then that's going to be tied back into the ECU as well. I'm not going to do that until I know if anything else needs to be tied in there, but right now I'm just going to tie in the intake air temp, and then I'm just going to call it for today because I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's raining again. But yeah, I'm going to get back to work. Well, good morning guys. It's a new week. I haven't been on the camera for probably a week now, since last Monday, but I've been doing some work off camera, doing a lot of wiring on old Frankenbuggy here. I figured out the throttle body wiring. I found the diagram for the Subaru coil. I got that wired to the ECU. I did the crank and the cam sensors. Cam sensors inside the distributor here. Crank is back behind the distributor. And yeah, I've just been doing a lot of work off camera. I've been writing everything down. I'm gonna share everything with you at the end of the video. But today, I'm just going to finish up the wiring. I shouldn't have too much left. It's just 12 volt signals, 5 volt sensor grounds, just ground everything to the battery or the chassis. I got my dad, he welded up some ground posts for me, put one there, put another one over there by all the electrical stuff. So today's going to be pretty straightforward. It's just running all kinds of power wires, grounds, and then I'm going to hook up the ECU and see if it works. What are you going to do today?
Well, I'm going to be working on brakes.
He's got his own video going. I'm kind of stealing the camera for today, but
yeah, I mean, over the weekend I mounted the back end here. You can see what I did right there where I had to cut the inner fender, and I just bridged across it, ran some screws, bolted the fenders on, got this hood, so this is working.
oh yeah. Oh,
My little
there it is.
gate latch there. So yeah.
Yeah, it's looking like it did before the engine swap. So yeah, I'm gonna get to work and he's gonna start doing his own thing. Yeah.
Have a day in the shop today.
All right, what I'm gonna do first is pretty simple. Just route some battery cables. I just need a cable from the positive to the starter, which is right over there. And then I'm gonna do a ground down to here. And then I'm gonna have a ground cable going all the way to the engine. I might ground it on the transmission, or maybe this post on the starter right here. I'll figure that out right now, but I'm just gonna start working on that, and then we could do all the ECUs. Alright guys, I got the battery cables all finished up. Goes to the starter, goes to the frame. Got this one. I'm going to put it right on the engine right there where the knock sensor used to be. But now I'm going to do all the grounds for the ECU. I'm just going to run the grounds through over here, put them right next to the battery. Then I'm going to finish up wiring for all the sensors. Just going to do the sensor ground and then 5 volt signal. And then I'm going to start working on the electrical side on over here. Just need to do 12 volt for the ECU. And I'm going to wire in this relay box right here. And then I'm just going to tie all the power to this. So yeah, I'm just going to get to work and get this thing done. All right guys, got a little more work done. I got all this wiring bunned up, got the 12 volts for the coil, the throttle body, everything that needs 12 volt. I got the 5 volts connected. I am running a cable to the front where the battery junction box is, or the power box is. And yeah, I'm gonna go to O'Reilly's right quick and get some the loops for the battery cables. Need to put one on there, and more wire. I need a long enough wire to run from the starter, where the battery's connected all the way up, to the switch that I got installed. And then I'm going to go off here to that little box over there. So yeah, I'm going to go to O'Reilly's right quick, get some more supplies, and then I'm going to get back and finish this up. Alright guys, I did more work off camera. As you can tell, it's not the prettiest, but got a lot of things wired up. I got the ECU wired up and now has power. I wired up the fuel pump and starter switch. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if it connects to my computer. If you can go turn on the switch.
Yeah,
I'll just go turn on the switch and, you know, press the starter button, press the fuel pump. There's power to the starter. As you can see, there's power to the pump. Just leave that on. You can take that.
go in there.
Yeah, it should be fine.
This goes into a USB. Come around that side. You need me to turn the motor at some point?
No, it should be fine right now.
It's got all these gauges on it. Tuner Studio. Now that came with the Mega Squirt.
Yeah, this is just the tuning software. See if it connects. That looks like it. Yep, MS3.
Yes, see what happens.
Well, now it's wanting me to configure things. Oh yeah, AFR.
So you got some work to do.
Yeah, but good news, everything works. I'm connected to the ECU now, everything has power. So now I just need to write a tune and see if things starts.
See if it starts.
Yeah. Alright guys, well that's it for today, so I'll be back on tomorrow. Hopefully we hear this thing run. Well, good morning guys, another day on old Frankenbuggy here. I'm gonna finish up the wiring. All I have to do now is wire up the wideband, and then I can load up a tune on that, and then I worked on a little tune last night to hopefully get this thing started. And yeah, I'm just gonna get to work, and hopefully at the end of today we'll hear old Frankenbuggy start up. And my dad is over here.
We discovered a leak. So apparently this was the one I had to tap that hole. It had a broken off screw in it. Got it all together there. And I'm thinking I either needed to put some silicone on it or the O-ring didn't seal. But Need to take it apart, see what's going on, because we can't have that leak there.
I did put fuel in the tank and prime the pump, and I don't see any leaks on that end, so we should be good there. But yeah, I'm gonna finish up this wiring real fast and start loading tunes and see if this thing starts. Well, all right, guys. Got the wideband all wired up. It's reading it on the gauge and on the computer here. Everything looks connected to me. I think I just wrote the new tune in the ECU. I'm not used to this Megasquirt thing yet, but I guess we can see what happens. Good, that's on. Go ahead, flip the switch there. Try to start it. Nope, nothing yet. Alright, I'm gonna keep on playing around and see if I can figure something out. Alright guys, another new day on old Frankenbuggy here. As you probably saw in the last clip, it didn't start. I spent the last few days trying to figure out what was going on there, and I think I figured it out. It's wiring on my part, I guess. I'm gonna show you on the laptop right quick. Cam input, there's 0 volts come out of it. It's not even seeing a cam signal. I misread the instructions. As you can see here, it is a Hall sensor, so you only do, as you can read here, do not use the negatives on the Hall sensors. But where I got confused, do not connect to external voltage or ground. So I'm thinking that is talking about the shielded wires for the cam sensor itself, not the original wiring. I left the ground disconnected on the distributor, so I'm going to connect that right quick, and we'll see if this thing does anything. Last couple days I've been trying to diag it. Even disconnected the Subaru coil that I wired up, put the coil off of the rail right there, see if that did anything, and it's still not doing anything. So I'm gonna fix the wiring right quick, and hopefully something happens. If not, I'm just gonna diag it some more, and we'll figure it out. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's the Goodyear blimp over there. Anyways, back to work on old Frankenbuggy. All right, guys, I fixed the wiring for the cam sensor. I added the ground to the sensor ground on the ECU. As you can tell, now I'm getting signal from the cam. I'm not sure exactly what that means. This whole thing's been a learning experience, but now it's reading a signal from the camshaft, and we go to start it, it still doesn't have spark. I think the culprit is now that the coil, Megasquirt has a coil similar to this on their website. It looks just the same, but it needs an igniter or CDI box to function, which leads me to think that this isn't going to be firing directly off the inputs on the ECU. So I think what we're going to do right now is order a smart coil from them, so it's just one single coil that we can use on the distributor, and then run the distributor like it does stock, just with the smart coil. The smart coil takes the signal from the ECU, and then it does its thing. It doesn't need its own igniter or anything. So I think I'm gonna get that ordered, and then when that comes in, I'll get back to work on old Frankenbuggy here. All right, guys, finally got more parts that came in. Got the coil, the smart coil from Megasquirt, and I got more plug wires because the factory ones just kind of blew apart. So now I just need to wire this thing up, and hopefully this thing starts. All right, guys, got the coil all wired up, got spark plug wires on there. As I was trying to start it yesterday, the starter caught fire, so we had to replace that. That just came in right now. We did an oil change because it was starting to smell like gasoline, just because there was no spark and nothing but injectors. So now let's see if this thing will start. Well, alright guys, we finally heard this ABA come to life. There's still some more issues I need to figure out. It's reading about 10,000 RPM when I'm turning it over, so there's definitely an issue there. I'm going to put a resistor in the wiring for the cam and crank sensors. Hopefully that fixes that, but that's probably why we're running so rich too, because it thinks it's at 10K and not idle. But yeah, that's a great sign. It finally ran. Hopefully this video helps someone out. I have the write out for all the pinouts that I'm going to be putting either in Google Docs or something, or I'll just show it on the video. Yeah, I guess that's it for right now. So remember to like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more.